I'm not a football fan, but I decided to watch the Super Bowl this year. And the Super Bowl was as good of a game as one could ever want from a football game. The refs did their job well. There was no bad calls. The coaches did their duty. There wasn't any like, oh my gosh, what were they thinking? Everything was just good. It went back and forth. It was a wonderful game. And afterwards, I didn't care. I mean, I didn't care about football before. I had this wonderful game, and I didn't care afterward. And it really disturbed me because I thought, isn't that what happens to a lot of people when they come to church on these special days? Like, okay, the Christmas time, we have the wonderful service, the best music, the best decorations, the best preaching, everything that we could possibly do to make this a wonderful experience, and the church is filled. And next day, it's empty. And likewise, we get it for Easter, Ash Wednesday, and maybe some other special day. And so I'm kind of wondering to myself, there's got to be some reason that maybe if I could answer the question of why I don't really care about football, maybe I can come up with an answer to why people don't care about Mass, even though you can have the best experience ever. And part of the answer comes from this Lenten reading, because if there's any sort of good experience, it's this one. I mean, how much better can you get than Jesus transfigured before your eyes? And maybe you don't have the choirs of angels, but you have Moses and Elijah. How much more can you get? And then, of course, you hear people, well, I wish God would talk to me. Well, he did. Here he is. From the cloud comes a voice. This is my beloved son. Listen to him. And yet Peter and James and John really aren't that well changed. I thought about that. Okay, yeah, let's bring in the tents, maybe build a basilica or a stadium. But once they get down from that mountain, they argue among themselves as to who's the greatest. Once they get down from that mountain, they argue at the Last Supper, who's betraying Jesus? Once they get down from that mountain, Peter denies Jesus 3 times. Once they get down from that mountain, Peter has a hard time believing Jesus Christ rose from the dead, as well as all the other disciples except the beloved one. And so they weren't changed all that well from this experience either. So how do you change? Well, I got back to the football thing. Okay, how would I change? How would I, theoretically go about actually caring? Well, the first one is give me a reason to. Maybe the reason is that my best friend is a football fanatic. Maybe I want to join with that friend in watching the game. Maybe it's just for community. I see so many people going to the bars and enjoying this. I want to be a part of that. Maybe it's just recreation. I just want something to take my mind off the troubles of my life. But once we say to that decision, reasoning, and we say yes, then I have to do something about it. Then I have to buy the sports paraphernalia. I'll buy the jersey. I'll buy the cup. I'll buy all those little things. I'll watch every game religiously. I'll even then spend all my time researching. This guy is the backup quarterback. He's from this state, and spend all my time. And the more I spend my time into it, the more I get invested. And then the more I think I'll care. And now that's what happens to Peter. Peter is at the end of the Gospel of John. Jesus asked him 3 times, do you love me? Yes, Lord, I do. And 3 times he's saying, feed my lambs, tend my sheep, feed my lambs. Peter is given the task of leading the church once more. He is buying all in, even to the point of death. And so he is, in essence, a true son of Abraham. This first reading about Abraham's being willing to sacrifice his son Isaac means that he is willing to sacrifice everything that he loves dear. I mean, he had this child in his 80s. There's no chance that he's going to have another one. And yet he's being offered up and say, I'll give everything to you. And that's why he's the father in faith. And that's what our Lenten journey is about. Our Lenten journey is about, first of all, saying yes. Saying yes like our catechumens did last week to the rite of sending. Saying, yes, I want to be a part of this church. And answering the question, why? Well, what does the Catholic Church offer you? Well, some of the answers are faith, eternal life, salvation, relationship with Jesus Christ. There's 1,000,001 reasons that we could give. What is it for you? And after you answer the question and say yes, then we put it into practice. And that's where the prayer, fasting, and almsgiving comes into practice, where we are praying, spending time with Jesus, trying to build a relationship with him. We're giving alms to say that our neighbor is included, the wider community is included in our ministry, in our relationship with Jesus Christ. Because how can I love the God I can't see if I don't despise the neighbor I can? And then finally, fasting. And really that means giving up my own will, just like Abraham did. As we are journeying towards our Easter mysteries, at Easter we recommit once again to our baptismal vows, saying yes to Jesus Christ once more. And in that, it's not just a one-day thing. By prayer, fasting, and almsgiving and making our choice for Christ, it is a lifelong encounter. And this is how it's just a lifelong encounter with Christ.